And then I'll hit the go live button. And this is where... Oh, that should be on mute, but it's not. So let me switch over to this now. There we got a Nile. And so therefore it means it's time for me to read out the following. You are listening to Let's Go, the weekly anime podcast about weekly anime from Dynamite in the Brain and Secret of the Sailor Madness. So come along and hang with the Let's Go gang. It's Wayne.
Hey.
It's Niall.
How are you?
And it's me, Brian. And on this episode, we are covering anime that aired the week of the 13th to the 19th of March, 2022. And let's hope I don't vomit. Because I did it yesterday, and it was the most I've vomited in 26 years.
First JFK gets killed alive on TV. Now this.
Yes.
Don't tune out, folks.
Starting off with A Life with an Ordinary Guy Who Reincarnated into a Total Fantasy Knockout, Episode 10. A guy who reincarnated as a fantasy knockout and a rebel army. In which we get to... perhaps, is this the most serious episode they've had?
I mean,
It sounds like it.
You say serious, but I was wondering when he was going to be dressed up in the costume with the princess in the opening, but apparently that's the rebel costume that they have to put on for their rebel speeches.
So they're rebelling against gender norms as well.
It's an idol costume, essentially.
Basically, yeah. Because to attract people to your rebel cause, who they're just kind of like, well, aren't you the proletariat? It's just like, but I'm cute though, and they're like, oh, you are cute, yeah. Good point.
Yeah,
Like me.
Yeah, there's these three guys who are like the representatives of all these men.
Guide them, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're going, oh, they're just using you to fight out a family squabble. We won't be taken advantage of in this way. Unless, of course, I was asked by a woman who fills in these particular requirements, and the princess fills in those particular requirements, and he sent askance. And then the second guy says, well, he might fall for that, but I'm into this sort of woman. And then the princess does whatever he just said he's into, and then he falls. And then the third one goes, well, I'm not going to fall for anything.
What I'm into is contrary to those two things, so you can't possibly be that third thing. It's like introducing the hero who's supporters in this rebel cause. It's like, oh, that's my type. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm in for revolution.
Yeah, and then I think then they go backstage and say it was a great idea for its costumes. It's mentioned that the head maid was the one who designed these costumes, and the slowly drip fed throughout the episode. Well, the first half of the episode is like there's something up with this head maid.
Yeah, she's designed the costumes. She's pushing the things. She's giving them rebellion-enhancing massages. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, and then
also every time she walks out of the tent, she's like, it's just like ooh, she doesn't like the princess. Okay.
Just spitting out her chewing tobacco.
Tachibana has had enough. She hates this costume, and she's going to put on an ordinary costume. And tries to escape and finds the spy who's been captured and tied up needlessly erotically, and then tries to untie her, but then gets distracted thinking about Jinjuji, and when she escapes from the reverie of thinking about Jinjuji, has discovered that she's ended up tying up the spy in an even more erotic manner than she was originally.
She's just tied fully clothed to a chair in that kind of erotic bondage knot thing that I've forgotten the name of. But by the time she's finished, she's hanging off the ceiling. And it's just like, how did you even do that? This is a tent.
And also gagged. I don't think she was gagged before either.
No, that's true, actually.
It was just going that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But the reason she's sneaking around, she's looking for her tiara.
Yeah. Yes, she's looking for her tiara. Because
she catches too much attention. Otherwise, she can't sneak away. Yeah.
And then she gets the slime massage from the head maid, but then the head maid casts some magic on the sigil on the back of her neck, which starts damaging the goddess of love, who we see is dining out on some dried squid, which has a face very much like the squid who got eaten a few episodes ago.
The popular delicacy. And it's interesting the way it kind of it edits the video footage of
Yes.
Tachibana's memory with Jinjuji, which is the second memory editing thing going on this week. But I like the way it's kind of like it cuts out what's actually being said and what obviously the maid is prompting to her to think is what has been said.
Yeah.
Yes, I've always Jinjuji. It's just like, yes, I've always been jealous of Jinjuji. It's just like, that's the word there. I'm sure that's the blank that needs to be filled. Yeah.
Maybe we should kill her. I think it would be a great idea if we killed her.
yeah, pretty much that.
We admit you want to kill her.
And then the second half is here's Schwartz and Lucius to sort out the rebellion. So Schwartz comes to do his big entrance, spots Jinjuji's there, goes off to speak to Jinjuji, and then Jinjuji points out the king's over there. You're supposed to introduce yourself to him. And he's like, oh,
yeah. So he's shown up super nervous. He's in the uniform and everything now, like the captain of the guard and everything. And he's kind of like, man, I'm supposed to meet the king. Jinjuji, it's crazy. Like I'm fucking got an audience with the king. I must be a pretty big deal. And the king is sat behind, like over on a throne in the same room, going like, all right, I guess heroes can just snub you. I mean, like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and he's like, do you mind if I do my entrance all over again? And they're like, no, don't go ahead.
You got nowhere to be today.
Yeah. And he tries to do his entrance, and the guard captain, like, it's like, bow to the fucking king. Don't be like, look, it's me, Schwartz von Liechtenstein, etc., etc. We're here to do a job, which is squash this rebellion. But we're gonna talk it out. There's no reason to go straight to violence. So.
And then, as soon as they're outside the door, Lucius goes straight to violence and starts putting various wrestling holds on him. And then he says something that makes Lucius proud of him.
It's something like you just want to do this because you just want to rush straight there in and save the day because you think you're a big fucking deal. And he says something like, "It's like no, I mean, like I want to save people. I want to make sure no one gets hurt. So I want to do this as quickly as possible so the least amount of people get hurt." And it's like. That's a noble thing, I say, while wrestling you.
Yes, and all that Lucy has done has changed the wrestling hold that they've put Schwartz in. He's now in a camel clutch rather than the octopus hold.
It doesn't only break one of your shoulders.
So, yeah, Schwartz, von Liechtenstein, etc., he goes up to Rebels and is like, hey, Rebels, I'm just here to talk it out. But meanwhile, the captain's like, you have 5 minutes to surrender or be destroyed. This is my method of talking it out.
And then Lucius tells him not to be afraid of his power, to use the sword. So he uses the sword, and it turns out he has even greater powers than he imagined, as it destroys all the headbands they're wearing, which appear to be enchanted by their behaviour after the headbands are destroyed.
Yeah, he definitely cuts the enchantment off them, as well as all of their clothes.
Yeah, all the weapons and all of their
because they're all like, hey, why are we all standing here in a field naked? Let's go home naked. Fuck it. I don't know. They all seem very calm about the situation, but they are NPCs, so yeah.
And then he gets upset that Lucius is praising the sword more than him. But then he's very happy when he goes to see the king, and the king has praised. And it's like it's a nice little mirror of what Tachibana was wanting from the previous episode.
Like he's definitely more of a kid in that he just kind of wants praise from his elders, his superiors, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and also he thinks he's now properly experiencing his reincarnation in a fantasy world.
Yeah, because he's going to save a princess or something. Yeah,
yes.
It's going to be rad.
It's like, am I on the princess path? I think I might be on the princess path because he's also heard that he's a similar age to the princess. So,
I mean, like that's just inevitable, then, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes and finds Jinjuji, who is continuing to sit on that in the garden.
Veranda?
Yes, yeah. It's like on a typical garden metal chair and metal table, just sulking. He's not even fun to mess with, as Shen says anymore.
As we saw in the little ident, the commercial break one, where he stacked more rolls on top of him in the meantime. It's just like, not even a challenge. He's actually a very sturdy base for rolls.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, maybe he's upset because Tachibana is cheating with somebody on him. And then he's like, why would you think that? And then... You
misunderstand our relationship, motherfucker. Yeah.
And then he says, oh, yeah, I guess you do. He says, oh, you must be jealous. And then you're depressed because then he completely hits the nail in the head there, and he crumbles, and then he's like, "How could there be jealousy between two men?" And the tension is broken as something appears to hit the palace, and that's the end of the episode. We don't get to see. Just get the reaction shots, like the rumble of something hitting the palace, and no sign of what it actually is.
But I mean, like up to this point, the princess was entirely up for a non-violent thing. Like at worst, they'll probably do like starvation tactics to get their way, like going on hunger strike, that kind of thing. And the king is like, obviously, we're not going to commit violence on him. That's my daughter. Can't have her getting killed. So it's a very, very low stakes coup at the moment. But someone's trying to make it work.
We should point the headmaid is clearly one of the demons because she's got the same.
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Antennae hair when she uses her powers, as the other two did. But she does seem massively more competent than the previous ones. They were, from the preview, I think the little one is back next episode.
Okay.
And they're all supposed to be some sort of giant robot. So there you go.
So just in time for a boss fight. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, this wasn't the funniest one of the episodes, I thought, but it did have some good gags. The stuff at the front with those three guys reacting to the princess's speech, and the stuff with Schwartz and Lucius, I think, worked. But yeah, it's a little bit more serious this episode, as we do have a character who is a genuine threat in the form of the maid. Then we've got Ninjala, episode 10. New friends, Ron and Jane. Which we introduced these two new kids at school, Ron and Jane.
Never seen them before.
Never seen them. Don't know who they could
They're
possibly
late
be.
transfers.
They're definitely, one of them's definitely not an adult pretending to be a child.
And neither is the other one.
Fucking Ron, like imagine playing like Burton, he was like, answer like a gap, average nerdy like adults like Edison fan. When he gets shrunk down to a key, he's kind of going, play a little bit more nasally, so it's like I'm a little boy, but then it's just like fun. Hey, how's it going? I'm Ron.
Yeah, and Jane is very.
I'm 10 years old.
How do you do, fellow children?
I do like her trying to interact. It's like, yes, I've made it. I've got it in with the kids. They think I'm one of them, and the kids are just like, did she talk about going to the spa there? What the fuck? That's really weird. Yes. That's not a thing a child would say to another child. They're not suspicious. They're just like weirded the fuck out.
Her references and the way, particularly when they get to the yo-yo stuff, and it's like clear she's an adult.
Oh, this takes
talking about the yo-yo.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's gone so long that when kids don't know what yo-yos are anymore. If I say, but back in my day, I knew all the tricks. Even like there's a better job of that when there were two girls like, hey, what you listening to? Oh, it's about hip hop. I'm saying, hip hop. Yeah, I'm into all the current stuff. I like a bit of a rock and roll, if you know what I mean. It's like you got your radio tuned at the classic rock FM. Oh boy.
Sorry, Jane. I like Queen, but it's not what the kids are listening to. Yeah.
It'll have to say again. Let's just you wait.
Yeah, that was the fun stuff I took away from the episode. I can't remember what really else really happened apart from.
It's just
I did like the amount of your men sneaking around the background. It's like, are they here to fucking murder us? Is that why they fucking snuck into school disguised as children? I thought that could have been played up a little more because he just directly confronts him. It was like, hey, you're Ron. Is like, yes, we were introduced earlier. I'm totally not a grown-ass man despite my voice, pretending to be a child. I was like, they could have played into that a little more because he's just a complete non-actor, basically.
Yeah, but he's kind of like, he has this kind of very threatening, intimidating, but he's like hiding out here for his life as well. So he's probably looking over his shoulder just as much.
How they survived that bomb was he stuffed a sweet into your one's mouth and presumably ate one himself and hid in an oven, I think.
Yeah, it was
basically,
like it might be a waste disposal chute. I thought it was.
Might have been, yeah. A small space that a child could fit in, but not two grown adults, basically. Yeah.
Oh no, he put her in the waste disposal chute. Yeah, I don't think he got in somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's stuff about like checking up on the dad that is in here. It's like introducing Ron and Jane's weapons, which is a
then you gotta believe in yourself. You know, even though you got totally aced by the new transfers kids, you totally got this. All you gotta do is like find wherever your thing is, which we know is throwing balls at people's faces. So that's gonna be it. They're gonna put out like fucking big yo-yos and big fucking like Nerf bats. I'm just gonna stick with basketball. You know, it's an oldie but a goodie.
I did like the random contest that he gets into with the two boys, and then they kind of see that other new boy who's also inhaling burgers at an alarming rate. I guess his metabolism isn't going to catch up to him for another few years, so yeah, he can do that.
She's still growing, you know.
Yeah.
That's his scientific process. I'm gonna like have like the fucking the fun 64-ounce porterhouse steak. See if that will get me to turn back into an adult again.
And then they all are going to get in a helicopter and go somewhere for some special training at the end of the episode.
Training in the forest where everything will go according to plan, and they will, you know, pass the test as scheduled, which has always happened at every anime when they've ever gone to forest training.
They won't be attacked by enemies at all. That's definitely
Grand day out, and all get ice creams and a nice photo at the end. They won't die.
So yeah, that's Ninjala for this week. Ranking of Kings, episode 22, The Promise to a Demon.
Now I get it.
Now you get it, yes. So we get like more of like the background of Boss and Miranjo, and sort of explaining all the things Miranjo did for Boss, and including breaking a promise to a demon. Because we learned that the cute demon in the opening credits is the same one as the big one, but whenever the demon grants wishes, it becomes more evil, and so
it gains more power as a demon. So it grows bigger and evil. And while that kid version of it still exists in the demon, the same way the child version of you is still in you somewhere, it's a big monster now. And
but more importantly, Miranjo as a kid said she'd never ask him to grant a wish for her. And then we see that she did it twice.
Yeah.
Like, the other thing is, it's kind of like the stupid plot thing of if people weren't acting stupid and talk things out, then it wouldn't happen. Because Boss is basically like living on an island with Miranjo and just like, you know, this life is pretty fucking sweet. You know, I wanted to be the strongest man in the world at one stage, but I'm glad I left that behind me. And he's like, he wanted to be the strongest man in the world someday. Maybe he should. He still wants to be the strongest man. It's like, no, he said he was happy now. Pay attention.
Well, I'd better make sure in case he leaves me.
Yeah. So that causes her to go on the quest of making him the strongest man in the world by making a deal with a demon that she promised she wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know.
It's you know, if you talk things out, there wouldn't be no thing. But
it's
like, you know, it's just like. It's a very small and very simplistic and very like earnest emotional appeal that is like the steps you need to go through to, you know, try and maintain that are going to just kind of wear down on you over time, and you decide it all together. It's just so just kind of, I mean, it was ultimately some kind of like human motivation for why some people do terrible things.
And back in the present day, it turns out that Despa's plot is we will cut off the head of the demon and then trade it back to the demon in return for a wish to get Oaken de-immortalitized. Well, is that a word? Make it no longer make him immortal. Yes, make him mortal again.
You could have pointed if I sort of got him out of the rock first, because I'm not sure how the wishes works.
Get that order fucking correct, because you know a demon's going to be like, oh yeah, here he is, back alive. Oh, dead again.
Mortal stuff inside a boulder. He's back, and he's fucking a paste.
This was pretty smart. He probably would have made a very long form wish, which is why it took him too long to say, so someone else sniped that wish from him, unfortunately.
Due to get about, wanted to put it back. with the correct haircut, everything.
Yeah, with the mustache. The mustache is fucking necessary. All right.
Yes, but Dida swipes the wish and wishes for Miranjo to be brought back to life. Which the demon grants, gets his head back, and then heads off while Desper's in despair. But then he remembers that his brother Hoken had told him once not to worry about him. There's other people he needs saving first. And so he books himself up and decides, well, in return, I'm going to take a whole load of silver and gold. And then also, you, young lady, you need to go and make sure you tell everybody about what you've done. And then I was like, okay, is this a counterpoint to the nationalism in the previous episodes?
I was thinking the same thing. Yes, it says, yep. You can. I guess it can be fun like a nationalist or about that. You can be kind of married to the sob story you tell yourself to make you feel better about the horrible views you have. But ultimately, things were done that hurt a lot of people. Because warfare was warfare. So you could at least acknowledge that those fucking things happened and take the good things with the bad things. If you're going to report to be a mature and responsible country, I mean individual.
Because I mean, like, besides reality, like in this version, basically, it was Boss and Miranjo were the only people still technically alive on the two sides of that conflict, and now it's just Miranjo, and it's kind of like that makes you the winner, right? So, like, clearly you did a lot of bad things to get there as well, that kind of way.
So I still think it was poorly done. But it did.
Yeah.
And probably
doesn't really excuse the fucking lengths you went to in your previous thoughts. So
I whatever they're attempting, very clumsy.
Everyone makes mistakes. As long as you say sorry, though.
Yeah, it's super fairy tale, and for once not in the good way, because obviously Daida kind of turns to her, Miranjo, marry me. And everyone's kind of like, what?
Yes.
I'm like, what?
Killing is the most like, what?
Understandably.
Execute her. Off with her head.
And they're like, Your Majesty, the king proposed to her.
And also Desha is now, okay, I guess I've got to accept the number one ranking and go to the treasury.
Because he gets the hand phone call where it's just like, hey, you fucking didn't get what? You didn't get the fucking wish? All right, I'll take the number one spot then. What's the worst that could happen?
Yes. It's like no fun the ranking, the king ranking, like fucking
clown.
He's fucking like there up and wait, like it's like fucking he's left him on a hold on a phone call. It's like he's like kind of stroking his chin maternally upon saying, so I forgot to close the deal. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
We grudgingly accept your offer.
Yeah, the ominous final shot is his empty throne.
And just going down, going down to the throne room of I've heard a lot of stories about this, about you picked the wrong thing or the one thing, you go crazy or something like that. But that won't happen to me because I'm wise to your tricks. And the guy walking ahead and locking the door and saying, yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah.
But yes, I think for the resolution of that, though, we'll have to wait till season 2 of Ranking of Kings, because that's in the very first chapter of part 2. Is it's the going in the treasure vault.
Like it's a little clunky in terms of fairy tale resolution of both trauma and apologizing for all the suffering that you caused. I mean, that's kind of the worst of it, but that's still better than what they just did.
But she was banished to hell for about 15 minutes.
For 5 minutes. Yeah,
that's pretty bad.
And at least she does she promises that she's going to save the demon someday as well. Which I think was needed, because I like the idea. It's like, oh yeah, the demon is not the villain in of himself. He's also affected
he's part of a system that is corrupting him as well. Yeah.
So that's interesting. There's no sign of any of this addressed in part 2. Part 2, I believe, I think part 2 might be dealing with the family who saved Kage right in his flashback story. I think that might be where it goes.
Okay.
I think we catch up with them.
I won't say no to more
Yeah.
Kage. Yeah, for sure.
But we got another episode of this story yet, though. From what I've seen of it, a lot of it is flashbacks to previous episodes.
I see. So this was our jump off point, and we're not quite sure what to do with it.
Yeah. Maybe we could have put in more of the flashbacks that we cut out of certain characters. One more episode to go, and that'll be next week, or as we record today.
Shit.
Like I kind of a poor ending, but like I'm towards the ending as well. But I don't know. I think overall, like, the series has been kind of worthwhile, and definitely really fucking good looking. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, there's that. It's guys like problems with it, all right, but
sure,
there's a lot of it that does approach with. But what it does approach with fucking with nuance and tact, and it's fun. That is pretty good. You just have to be accept that with the knowledge of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta make your own kind of choice right there. It feels like trying to grasp at something a little bit of what they're kind of trying to put across with this, but even that feels a bit like with the way that this first came out at the webcomic or at online comic, like you probably go get some comments about it when it comes out. So from that chapter one saying, shit, I mean, it's like probably pretty hard, kind of tipped my hand a bit too much in that one chapter. I should try and reel some of those folks back in with a little bit of this just to show that But there are other arguments that could be made for this as well.
Yeah.
But he does have two absolutely outstandingly animated episodes, and a whole bunch of other pretty good ones as well. It was episode 8 and episode 21. I think those are the two. I made last week's one, and the main training with Despot episode. I think those were the two highlights animation wise.
Yeah, and even when they don't have the overall good, well animated episode, there's often a scene within it that is just pretty fucking just that king dancing. I'm gonna remember that for a while.
Yeah.
that was amazing.
I'll always remember Doris flexing out of his armor.
Yeah, and beating up a bunch of lions. That was pretty cool.
Then tell me all about My Dress Up Darling, episode 11. I am currently at a love hotel.
Would you believe this is the horniest episode yet?
Filth. Absolute filth. But I'm glad I'm more on board at being this kind of filth a little bit, rather than oh whoops, we got the phone tied out of big boobs with fucking a whole roll of fucking tape. Whoa, did it pop out at inopportune moments?
Yeah. The fun of this is basically they are teenagers and horny, and they kind of forget that sometimes, which is that's kind of the joke.
It's always funny listening to you describe these and then comparing it to Life with an Ordinary Guy, because arguably this week's Life with an Ordinary Guy, but could have been argued to be the horniest one.
There was a woman massaging another woman with slime.
And you got the idol costumes, but it's a show where they wear the idol costumes, and our heroine goes, "I wish I was wearing my tights. My legs are cold."
Yeah, it feels indecent. I don't like wearing these this short skirt. Whereas in this one, she's wearing basically a bikini, right?
It is I really love this this manga here. It's about this author, and he's also playing at night with the succubus is haunting him, and but he never goes to sleep, so she never gets a chance to drain his energy, and it's absolutely hilarious, 4-panel gag thing, and it's oh, this character was just so funny and cute, I love her, and go to the fun saying, yeah, I see. Oh, you want me to cosplay of that? Yeah, sure. Oh wait, hang on. This is a gag comedy character. There's usually a little tiny little
it's a little chibi character. Yeah.
How the fuck do I make a full size costume out of that? And that's where you use your imagination, and that's the beauty of cosplay is that in cases like this, no two would be exactly the same unless they were, off in the same close shot that made them, or whatever like that. But there's an opportunity to put your own little interpretations, your own little kind of something of yours into the mix as well, so it becomes truly embodied by you.
Yeah, so it's the idea of like obviously instead of just slavishly copying a design, that you can actually adapt and change and put your own signature stuff on it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is him kind of getting challenged, like, with his own creative imagination. He's used to working off, like, reference materials, and he puts extensive, like, drawings then of what he wants to make, but he has to kind of, what's his input here? He's considering, like, what might the client want, and trying to, like guess already, trying to, like, anticipate what their expectations might be and get in there. Right? So, okay, cool, that's really fun. But we're going to do it at a really cheap studio, I found. The rates are very competitive. You can go down this weekend. And I said, yes, this is definitely used for shooting something. Maybe not always cosplay things. Sometimes cosplay things of a different nature. But, yep, it's certainly a love hotel. And we probably shouldn't be here, but the room is rented for the next few hours, so we may as well use it, right? Come on.
I did like her thing of just like, I don't think she was actually trying to entice him in this case. I think it was more so because, like she says, she's very blunt about it. He's like, wait a minute. This is a love hotel, he says once they're in the room. And she's like, yeah, I just looked at place. They let you take photos, really cheap rates. And I was like, oh, book immediately. I didn't actually realize it was a love hotel until we were standing outside it. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's like, whoopsie, this is whoopsie, we should be here, yeah. But since we're here, let's just have fun with us. Oh, hey, look, check it out, free condoms.
Apparently this is good luck. Here's one for you. And he's like, I am wildly uncomfortable with the situation. Right, I'm going to go into the bathroom and change. Whoa, check out this bath. You want to take a bath? I'm just fucking
no,
with you.
I thought I'd say, do you? Forget, but in your mind, you're going fun. Do you? I feel like at times just trying to like duck season, rabbit season them. Like, no, if I keep this kind of fast talking, he'll say yes to something about one time, and then I got him.
Well, yeah, he's just like it kind of opens with him sitting awkwardly in this room. He's like, Grandpa, I'm in a love hotel. What do I do? And then it kind of like how I got in this situation. But so he's just sitting there like awkward as fuck. He's like, this is really weird. Oh, maybe TV will distract me. Oh no, it's pornography on TV. Turn it down.
Just go to phone, like that phone.
He's just watching it for a second until she comes back out, and he's like, turn it off.
It's like when Kiryu was watching videos in the video booths in Youngster games. He's like, he's just like leaning forward. He gets like kind of
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Basically like the shoot kind of goes pretty well because like you said, he had a lot of creative flair.
Like, oh, it's like an overall, you get the pedal fight, because you're like a sleepy succubus. You can go, it's all, you have funny things for the eye mask.
He's got a bunch of
cartoon eyes on it.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of comics that he's bookmarked, like most of the fucking comic. It looks like that he wants to recreate those scenes in photograph form. But the one scene they can't get is, or the angle isn't right for when she's trying to sing a lullaby to him when he's going to sleep.
Or it's like that first person view of like, trying to like wake him up as fun, saying, no, wakey, wakey, sleepy, careful, and saying, nah, that's not good, right? And he's like, hey, I'm going to lay down in the bed. Fun, get on top of you right now. And saying, yeah, that'll do it.
It'll be like an up angle from his perspective. Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, fun. Get right on top of the phone, lean on top of me like that. Yeah, it's beautiful. You're great. And they're just like, like we're, slowly like kind of dawns upon them. They can hear like noises next door and saying, oh, they're out of the moment, and they're saying, we're two hormonal teenagers in a love hotel.
I've just asked you to get on top of me in bed.
She's putting her this fucking absolutely scandalous outfit. And we get this lovingly animated, like, semi pop at a boner. Just a little bit.
Just enough that it's clear. And him trying to get her off of him, carefully worded. And then it's like they're leaning in. They're staying quiet because they're like, this is really awkward, and we can hear fucking next door. And it's like, are we just heavy breathing? Are we gonna kiss? Phone call. Hey, your time's up. Fucking move on. So they do, and they're both kind of like, that was way too close. Holy shit.
They get fucking like cops then by like here's that was like a nice young couple right there, and they're getting a bit more together, a bit more with it, and the scene going out on the little and saying, this little London film scene is just going, kids still figuring things out, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those kids in high school, it's like, oh yeah, I guess they'd be into those kind of things around their age. Yeah, fair enough. Whereas they're just like, oh no, we've done a crime, we're gonna get arrested. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
This is while they're just like This is this I kind of want to get behind it like there's a little bit more. But it's like, hey, let's not just not fun have this completely fucking scrubbed version of what being a teenager is like. Take it up to this.
Yeah.
Even in Japan, where it's like we're like the center of like moral upstanding in our youth. It's like, no, kids, teenagers are gonna be teenagers. You're gonna want to fucking get the shift off each other. It just happens like that. And again, it's just Marin is like fully like, no, oh, I'm such a fun into this now. You get so maybe to go into her cosplay, she doesn't really kind of have any inhibitions about things, so she just kind of keep on like kind of charging on forward without kind of realizing or kind of caring like about what kind of behavior, what kind of like fun looks this might look, for better or worse, considering like last week's one, which you got the full over 10, which thankfully didn't go ahead with. It's just like, oh yeah, she was just
so glad of that. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it is like a bit too revealing. Upon saying bit too revealing, and some other things, man. Maybe it's kind of again, you're charging ahead, you got blinkers on, you're not really kind of getting the whole thing. But then just like when you get pulled, yanked back in a different perspective right there. And they're fucking like holding their breaths, not trying not to move or make any noises. Like it's a horror film they're about to get caught. And I'm saying, oh yeah. Because she's like, for all the confidence, she's equally as awkward of a teenager as Gojo is, but just at different times in different ways. Just like does weird shit. Like again, like in last week's one, it's just like about like, oh, like if I wear a costume, I wouldn't wear it on public. Send you a picture of a dog sometime. What?
and just the thing of like, obviously she's into him and wants him to, again, trying to trick him into saying as like that he likes her. But anytime he says something complimentary to her, she gets kind of flustered, and him not realizing that she took him on like a day-long date last episode and the start of this episode. They went clothes shopping, they went and got some food, they went to a manga cafe, and it was just like, you're going out, you idiots.
It'll drop soon.
Yeah.
And there's fun flitting around. There's lots of fun little like bits with them. Just availing on facilities in the room in the Love Hotel, and it does also look really cute, really nice. Now, thank goodness it didn't go near the next to the bed handheld back massager. That's definitely what that is.
I think I saw someone in the comments saying that's like the first time they've seen a vibrator in an anime, and I was like, it's entirely possible, I suppose.
That's a back massager, Dwayne.
Sure.
They probably need to get out more.
Oh no, I assume there's more there, and definitely in
there's
porno,
there's one where they're in the opening credits. I'm pretty sure. I think the
fair enough.
It's the I can't remember what it's called now. It's the sex comedy thing about the girls' school who've just opened up to allowing some boys into it, and and they have far too an active interest in sex for one particular boy's preference, particularly him, is what they're mainly interested in. That's just yeah. I can't. It's really good when it's adapted in the comic. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's really good when it's adapted in the comic. But whenever they have to write stuff themselves, it's fucking awful. I.e., there is a skill to doing sex comedy well.
Yeah. It's not the easiest line to straddle. Poor choice of words. But yeah, no, and like you said, Niall, in this case, I think they do a pretty good job of getting across horniness without getting. It's definitely voyeuristic to an extent, but that's not the main. God damn it! What is wrong with my brain? That's not the main thrust of it. What the fuck, brain? Jesus!
It's gotten under your skin already.
So I'm gonna have to change this to Carry On JoJo when JoJo's back.
Please. Yeah.
Okay, so that's my dress up, darling. Episode 11. I am currently at Love Hotel. Then we've got Lupin the Third, Part 6, Episode 23, The Memories of a Beloved Witch, in which Goemon, Jigen, Fujiko and Zenigata have to deal with their mother-in-law.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, it's what it is. It's the thing of it's the evil mother-in-law who wants the son to leave their partner because she doesn't think they're good enough for him.
Mm.
But in this case, by the power of hypnotism.
Playing a very, 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 very long game.
Yes.
Yeah. I really liked a lot of the mental imagery, and again the editing of what was there in your memories and what is there. And I love the idea of using multiple languages.
Yes.
To do it.
Mm.
That was really nice.
Because it's
yeah.
a very
I've never seen that
Lupin.
before.
It relies on a character trait he's got that's taken for granted throughout all the episodes. Because it's just assumed wherever Lupin is, he can speak the language. So essentially, the gist of the plot is that Tomoe, when Lupin was a child, his grandfather kept it secret from him that Tomoe was his mother. So she had planted
this is her story.
Subliminal messages in his head to try and make him realize this. And when she stole everything, it was supposed to kick off then, but it didn't. And
like she was stealing the evidence apparently from the vault that she was his mother, because she was going to stop being his tutor at that stage. It's like, all right, this is the last fucking chance.
I think it's fair to say the things we see are true, because the things she says don't quite match up what we see. It's like, oh, somebody else pretended to be me, that was who got killed, and she had no problem with it. And then we see her hypnotizing that woman in the flashback.
Yeah, this is like
that's why I say it's her story, it's her point of view. There's definitely stuff being left out. She had no problem with it after I hypnotized her to kill herself. So
and so in order to get her son back, she trained all these women who from all across the world who would say a portion of this poem to him, and then once he'd heard every single part of the poem, it would trigger his memories, and he'd realise who his mum was and where she was, and go and find her, but also apparently turn against his friends.
It like a switch being flipped on a sleeper agent kind of thing. I love the idea of using the multiple languages, because like it's like, I think the way she put it is like, so if you're fluent in a language, you have like a multiple version of you that is fluent in that language. So basically she's not hypnotizing one Lupin, she's hypnotizing the one that speaks French, the one that speaks Japanese, the one that speaks Italian, like all of them. And I was like, that's quite clever.
He's done that kind of thing before, I think, in Lupin history, where he's put on some kind of mesmerism. But because of the way he can organize his mind, he's like, there's some like bit of me that is kind of like secreted away like a little black box. And if I get put under the kind of like hypnotism or control like that, I don't always be like, I can't come back under this. But like once now,
but this is using that against him. I
can get all that now and get like it's an even tighter hold on him. It'll be mine. In so many different ways, that's such a tight grip on him. However, Wrinkle is one of these operatives, one of these plants, has also gotten her memories back.
So what we opened with the episode is Zenigata giving him the recorder, and I guess the last piece of the poem, the one about everlasting love. Remember that, Lupin? And that sets him off.
You love your mammy. Your mammy is the greatest. It's just doesn't time to come in. It doesn't time for Mother's Day, by the way.
Yeah, pretty much.
We'll give to your mam if you became her hypno assassin and weapon to take over the world.
So they all have their own ways of trying. Like basically, they try and wrestle him for a little bit, but he's quite deadly, Lupin. So he does a runner, but with Matea hot in pursuit, obviously, because she also has a few questions for Mammy.
Yes.
Well, she also knows that as soon as he's able to flip this programming up, he's gonna fly straight to her.
Yeah, exactly.
And then meanwhile, the rest of Fujiko catches up with Lupin, tries to stop him.
Tries to reason at him with smooches. Does
not work.
What you've always wanted. But no, I leave that life behind. It's a lie. It's not who I am. I'm not Lupin the Third. I'm Christopher Nolan's Lupin the Third, and there's no room for fun here.
Zenigata speaks to, I've forgotten her name now, the red-headed woman from the start of this part of the series.
Miranda or something.
Try to get information from her. And
Like I like the way he was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to talk with you because you know shit that you don't even know you know, and that's
Yeah.
eventually how he gets the clue. And I was like, oh, that's actually really good detective stuff. Yeah.
and Goemon and Jigen go and speak to Professor James Moriarty. Uh,
We need a smart guy to figure
Yes.
this out for us, and he's like, I can explain it to you, gentlemen.
yes, and
So yeah.
But please hurry up. I'm late for double PE. Fucking little fucking twerp telling us what to do. But no, that's that kind of just adds to like the arrogance of
Yes.
Moriarty and saying, yeah, why if he was a little shit like that, you knew he was fucking
and he
smart.
needs Lupin back to being Lupin because he's got plans for him involving the criminal underworld. He needs Lupin in as part of these plans.
little little teaser
Yeah,
part
exactly.
7 for you right there.
Or a
Yep,
TV
yep.
special or whatever they're going to do. Yeah, so it all points to a little abandoned town called, is it Machiko in Japan?
Yeah, there was like a
Puebla
thing there,
Magico
like
is the
where
clue.
there was like a Puebla Machi, and it's
That's
oh,
it, yeah.
that's like a phrase you have in Spanish. But I'm saying, but there's no place like look up in like this village here. So yeah, old village. There's nothing out there, but it's an abandoned house. It hasn't been like touched
It
or
was
gone
bought
there in
up.
years.
It was bought up in years back, and I was like, okay, yeah, you can see where this is going. Obviously, she has this place to herself, basically.
Yeah, and then we finally see what she looks like today, and she's a great character design, particularly when she gets the evil grin on her face.
Like the combination between that and like, it's not the first time I think we've seen her eyes, but like seeing the flashback / hypnotism of Lupin, we see her eyes and everything like that, and then contrasting that with this sweet old lady, except where her real kind of intentions shine through on her expression, like really, really nicely done. Yeah.
Like when my real mother or no, she has that kind of like very sinister looking like grin that Lupin gets sometimes. As well.
Yeah.
Like, so that's where he gets it from.
Which suggests either that A, he learned it from her, or B, they are related.
Yeah, and it's also curious, like all this story she's telling, there's no mention of Lupin the Second.
Yeah.
Who is a piece of work in and of himself, and I think he shows up in part 2. But I'm curious as if they've also got plans for him down the line.
Could be, yeah.
Because there's definitely the stuff with Moriarty, as I say, definitely makes you feel like, oh, yeah, they've got plans beyond, they've planned out stuff beyond just this season in terms of plot.
Which is good. Yeah, it's good to see that they're gonna like even like bringing him back and go like, oh, remember me? I'm gonna come up later. All right, I see you guys later.
Yeah, but they call it this like answer asking a very simple question and saying, yeah, who were Lupin's parents? Like, what is it like them? How is a dude like this like raised as a child?
And it is stuff in the
like
comics,
this,
so it's not like they're pulling it completely out their ass.
Yeah.
But it's barely been expounded upon yet. Which is it's kind of refreshing a movie when not every story has to be about like families and relationships and parents, that kind of thing. But you got something like it on this slide, which is just codified as well. You're thinking, oh yeah, like that is a very straightforward thing. Who was that? Now it doesn't need to get to like the origin story of Lupin the Third or anything like that. But
he's from a family of thieves and he was trained to be a thief. It's just like, yeah, we're good. But like adding this extra wrinkle into it as to it's like, what kind of person would make a person like that?
Anyway, Mattia shows up and kills Lupin.
Oh no, he shot out a window, and
that's the end.
I died there. Was like, okay, you explain everything to me, and then maybe I won't shoot you, or maybe I will shoot you. I'm not sure if she actually gives an ultimatum. It's like, just explain everything to me while I'm pointing a gun at you. And it's like, I'll happily explain all the fucking plot to you. Aha, Lupin's come back up the stairs because he knew you were going to aim for a kill shot, so he got out of the way. So it was just a mortal wound. Take that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a standoff now between Lupin and Mattia. We also... Moriarty suggested to the guys that maybe Tomoe is like... It's like, oh, if you control Lupin, you can steal anything.
Yeah. You can steal the whole world if you want to, but you can steal specifically anything that you want. Yeah.
He being Professor Moriarty has his doubts over whatever this particular story that Tomoe is spinning here. And so we've got one final episode
I,
next
I,
week.
I did like this. I like the suggestion that Moriarty is thinking like this about Lupin because that's probably exactly what he wants Lupin for as part of his
Yes,
plan.
quite possibly.
I need a guy who can steal anything because I might need something.
Yeah, you probably because there's like the unresolved plot of the red herrings in the Sherlock Holmes stuff of thinking it was what were the baddies in Sherlock Holmes? The baddies who didn't exist in the end were going after the Raven going after Albert, but it's actually Moriarty going after Albert. It was him sending Moran to shoot him. Yeah. So and he made off with that software at the end of part 5 for whatever purpose Albert had got for that.
I think 2 other favorite parts of this episode was Jigen, Gorman, and Zenigata all failing to fucking beat the shit out of Lupin. It's just like he's kind of running rings around him. They get close, but between them they can't get him, which was like pretty impressive. But I also like the lads and Fujiko meeting up at one of their many hideouts and going like, looks like you care about him after all. It's like, well, you care about him too. Nah, none of us care about him. We're all gonna see which car he took from this hideout and track him down, basically.
Yeah. Good choice.
I also like all the bits of his past with the guys leaking into.
That was so nicely done. Like you tripped in the forest, and he trips on a stick, a katana. It's like, and we used to be great at card tricks, and he's pulling cards out of a big old hat, an old battered hat. Just really nice. Like you can see him trying to claw back control of the connections he has to his own life. But like, the programming obviously trying to overwrite that.
I felt a little bit like watching fucking Pet again. Psycho.
Yeah.
And the pulsing of the colors of the cherry trees. I've had dreams like that where like it's like the fucking trees like we're breathing or like one inhaling and exhaling. It's like it's maybe other people get those dreams too. And
just the general weirdness like of like a Lupin with some sort of blood smear like slowly dripping up his face. So it's like some really weird, strange imagery for like psycho programming, I guess. Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird enough. You got Mamoroshi on this multiple times this series. So you can get weirder than that. Show us.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to, did the sequel comic to Pet come out in the end?
Look who's talking to.
Because I was hoping if there was one, they'd eventually do it as like an OVA or something to finish off the.
Oh yeah, because they did leave it off on not a cliffhanger, but like we have more to happen.
There is more
basically.
to happen. Yes, it ends on an ending, but there is more to happen. Yeah, Pet's a good show. Go and watch that if you haven't seen Pet already. Yes, good Lupin the Third. You say it's an interesting performance from Lupin because it delves into emotions that doesn't normally show in an episode.
Generally, he only kind of goes flat when he gets into serious, and he spends most of this like flat and actually like when Fujiko finds him in the rain. It's like he's not well, which is unusual for him. Yeah,
he's momentarily a bit more lucid because obviously he's going like fun. Mammy must go to Mammy, but he's kind of like head hurt, not right, no, bad. He's something kind of struggling against her right there.
Yeah.
He's kind of questioning like why he's questioning about himself. Like I thought I was like just like the international playboy thief for my own volition, but was I just programmed this way from the start?
Yeah.
When I was a boy to be this way, am I actually this fun-loving criminal, or is that all a lie as well? Who am I? Am I Lupin the Third? Lupin the Fourth.
Yeah, well, I think his normal personality is his real one. Is that Tomoe has reverted him to some sort of childlike state.
Definitely some base state that she can manipulate.
Anyway, good. It's a good old lady villain, which you don't see too many of, and does work quite well within that sort of. It definitely feels like the mother-in-law.
This defeats you with emotional manipulation.
God, I mean, like that's family sometimes, What are you gonna do?
that's it for this week. Because there is still
Yeah.
no Dragon Quest. Probably not for a few more weeks.
Did you mention that if you are a Shonen Jump subscriber, you can now read chapter 15, I think, of Dragon Quest: Adventure of Dai,
You
the
can.
manga.
I quite like the art in
My
it.
goodness.
It's significantly
It's very
different
silly.
to the current cartoon, but still good on its own terms.
Yeah, it just like at least in these early on bits, there was a lot more of like the monsters involved in Monster Island. There's this like we're looking Dragon Quest yokes squashing around, slimming around. See if it gets more serious and more like sharper and more angled later, like Dragon Ball Z did, something like that. But yeah, give it a read. It'll tide you over until they get that shit back on track.
Also, you can read this week's One Punch Man, and you can see Garou finally meet Saitama again. After however many years it's been.
You look like shit.
I mean, it's been so long ago. The first meeting was actually adapted in that second season of the anime.
Yes.
And I think if there is a third season of the anime, I still don't think they're getting through this.
All right.
Oh well, is there any more giant centipedes they can bring into this? There's almost room for one more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, that's it for this week. We're back next week. I don't think we'll have nothing left. No, everything's still running. We've got one episode of Ranking of Kings. So yeah, I think we should be good, because then there'll be new stuff the following week, won't there? So
I've tried to catch up on a thing or two before it actually starts. Well, I can take a few things. One thing,
Kaguya-sama. Yeah, okay,
Kaguya-sama.
yeah. I do think about, is it possible to watch it all before the new season starts?
You'd probably be fine for the most part, as long as you know how the dynamics of the work, like who the student counts as what inclination. But you'd be able to figure it out pretty quickly. You have her, you have him. They're both kind of super geniuses in different ways. They're trying to outwit each other and they're love with each other. You got the kind of disaffected dude who is scared of Kaguya for various reasons, and then you got Chika, the wild card, because as they they're second guessing, they're doing all the whole planning and scheming, wheels within wheels, but then got to account for this chaotic factor who often just does the one thing that completely spoils both their plans.
I was just worried. I saw Bastard was in the spring season thing, but that's just a technicality. It doesn't start till June, end of June. So.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Like TV spring, but calendars, seasonals, any other actual spring as long as it's
hey, I mean, thank goodness for Netflix deciding most of their anime needs to look like 90s OVAs. So we get more Bastard finally, as I predicted many moons ago. Radio back next week, Tuesday. We're back next week. Oh, that doesn't leave long to watch these anime.
Well, we're watching less for next week, so that's good.
Yeah, no Detective Conan for a while. I am looking forward to whenever we do get the next canon thing, though, because I think that drops some important information. Again, yes, super important information. Ones where you have to start drawing up new charts of how characters are related to each other.
Oh,
and of course that.
And
of course there'll be an entirely disconnected murder mystery to solve as well. Righty ho, I'm going to hit the end stream button